Good morning and welcome to A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly and I decided to sit down. I woke up early. I'm having my coffee this morning and decided to talk with you a little bit about bringing some sustainability and some peace of mind to your home in the terms of bulk buying meat. So for the last 4 years, I have purchased an animal share, if you will, from a semi-local farmer about 45 minutes north of me. He does practice rotational grazing and he raises all natural product. So very healthy, better quality than I'm going to get at the grocery store, and the prices at the grocery store are insane. I really appreciate the family that does this, and I've given them my business now 4 years running. Typically, well, when I started out in 2020, I purchased a quarter side of beef and I purchased half of a hog for 2 years running. And then last year I added another eighth of beef onto that. And then this year I did a whole hog and a quarter side of beef. So switching it up a little, trying to see what works best for us. It is an investment that you have to make upfront, but when you crunch the numbers, I think that you will agree that it is a better choice financially to buy meat in that way if you can tolerate the upfront costs and you have the space to keep it. So this year, the hanging weight, which is hanging weight is how they charge you. So the hanging weight of my whole hog was 200 pounds even, and my per pound price for that was $3.85. So, and then on top of that, they charged me a $28 smoking fee for, I think I got one ham smoked. So that totaled $698 for that hog. The quarter beef that I got, hanging weight was 209 pounds, and that was $4.59 a pound. So the total for that was $884. So grand total for both of those was $1,582. And when you divide that by the number of days in a year, it came out to just over $4.30 a day for high quality, all natural beef and pork. And that includes, you're paying essentially less than $5 a pound for all of your steaks, all of your ground beef, all of your roasts, all of your pork chops, your bacon, your sausage, everything for less than $5 a pound. The only caveat is you have to buy it all up front at once. And it's a lot of meat, so you also have to have room to store it. So for the first 2 years, I had one extra stand-up freezer. So I packed everything into there, as well as the lower freezer that's on my refrigerator in my kitchen. And believe me, nothing else fit in my freezers, nothing at all. I had to buy, any chicken or fish, fresh, and use it within a couple of days of purchasing it in order to have that food security in my freezer. Last year, I purchased a second stand-up freezer. So now I have one in my kitchen, and then my original is in my laundry room. And believe it or not, this year it filled it up. And by this year, I do mean 2024. Usually I pick up my orders in late November or early December, but they weren't ready this year until the first or second week in January. So we're pretty much starting the year with this order, which will really give me a good idea of where we end up towards the end of the year. So I am going to pause the video here, and I'm going to bring up the footage that I took when I was unboxing all of that product, and then I'll also show you what it looks like in the freezer. We are starting with the beef. As you can see here, I have quite a bit of ground beef. It is filling up this entire box. I will count that later. We also have quite a few rib steaks, followed by some chuck steaks, some Denver steak, sirloin steak, New York strips right here. We have some beef short ribs and a few packages of stew meat. Over here, we have probably more than a half a dozen filet mignons, one flank steak, one skirt steak, one flat iron steak, a whole bunch of cube steaks. Then I have 3 or 4 large roasts here, as well as a small brisket. Moving over to this box, we have all of the extras that were ordered. So we have the fat, the tongue, the heart, the liver, a bunch of different soup bones, including oxtail, and then even more soup bones. So when you order from a farmer like this, you can choose to have them include these or not. They throw them away, they give them away, they do something else with them, but you're paying for this as part of the hanging weight. So if you do end up ordering from a farmer, I recommend that you ask for this stuff. I'm planning on making a wonderful beef bone broth with all of these bones, most of these bones. Some will go to the dogs, but it would be such a waste if I didn't use those. So this is quite a bit of beef. Moving on to the pork. So this is, again, a whole hog. In this first box, it is loaded with ground sausage, both hot and sweet, as well as a lot of bacon. This is going to last us the entire year for sure. Back here, we have 4 hams. 4 hams. That is a lot of hams. And also 4 ham hocks. Next to that, we have the guanciale, or the cheeks. I also ordered all of the leaf lard and the fat, as well as skin to try my hand at pork rinds. Next to that, we have a whole bunch of pork steaks, and then we have also some tenderloin roasts, a couple of those. We have 2 large picnic roasts and a whole bunch of pork loin chops. Now I am going to take you on a tour of the freezers where we did our best at playing Tetris to pack this all in. In this first box here, we just decided to keep the boxes. That way things wouldn't fall out, which they tend to do. This is all sausage and bacon as we have it marked, so that is plenty of sausage and bacon for the year. Then in this next box, we have the ground beef. Ignore the freeze dryer tray. I'm out of space for my freeze dryer trays. So that's going to be interesting. In any case, this is ground beef, and there are 53 packages of 1 pound ground beefs. So that is going to last us a year, even if we use one of those a week. In the next box down here, we have beef steaks. That's a lot of steak. And then down here, we have your regular like loin pork chops in the bottom. This is my kitchen freezer, and I will now show you the second freezer. The second freezer is actually in my laundry room, which is nice because it's still on the same floor as the house, but it's tight squeezed, so I have to close the door to the laundry room in order to get this door open. So in this freezer on the top shelf, my son was a doll and he marked all of these boxes. So in here we have pork steaks, some more pork chops, and our pork shoulder roasts. In this box, we have the beef extras, the briskets, and the pork hocks. So I still had 2 pork hocks left over from last year, and then I got 4 this year with the whole hog. So 6 of those, I got to figure out how to use those. The beef extras are the fat that I ordered, that I will render down, the liver, the heart, and the tongue, all of which I will slice up and either dehydrate or freeze dry for the dogs. They prefer it dehydrated because then it's more like jerky. I prefer it freeze dry because I don't have to smell it. I do not like the smell of cooking liver, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. Down in this next box here, I've got a bunch of round roasts, all the stew meat, all the short ribs, the sirloin steak, the chuck roasts, the I have round roasts, and the tenderloin roasts. In this box down here, we've got ham. So 4 hams, 4 hams. That's a lot of hams. All the pork fat, all the pork hocks, the guanciale, the pork tenderloin roast, and the skins that I am gonna try to make pork rinds out of for the first time. And then down here is just kind of a mix. This is what's left over from my garden. There you have it. We don't just eat the beef and the pork. We also do a lot of chicken as well as fish. I usually get the fish at the farmer's market. I get the chicken at the grocery store. One day, hopefully in the not too distant future, I will have my own chickens. I can't do that here. I don't have enough space, and my dogs, quite frankly, would eat them, which they would anyway, but that's not the way that I want them to. So I hope that that was informative to you as far as what it would take to get your freezer stocked up for a full year. I do feed my dogs from there as well as my family, and that is definitely enough, like I said, for a full year. I did want to just give you an update on the onions that were planted a week ago. They have grown quite nicely. I am a little disappointed in the germination rate, so I have a choice to make. So this is the tray I did of the 3 different bunching onions as well as the shallots. I think that you can see that they are growing up quite nicely. I'm not at all disappointed in this tray. Over here, I had the white Spanish onions here. Those had great germination, no problems whatsoever. The yellow of Parma onions, I have 1 sprout. That's it. And on the south port globe, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 sprouts on this side. That is pretty low germination, but those seeds were not purchased this year either. And then over here, I have the getting used to the camera is not easy. I have Alyssa Craig. I think I'm happy with that. I think I only wanted about a dozen of those, and so I got plenty of that. The red of Florence, I got some pretty good germination there as well as with the Weathersford red. I got 0 on the Stuttgarter onions, 1 on the, 4. I got some still little sprouts there on the yellow sweet Spanish, and just 1 on the Globo. And the Globo was new to me this year. I was super excited about it. I know that onions can take up to 3 weeks to germinate. So there's the choice I have to make. Do I just keep going with these, or do I start another tray? I feel like I'm going to get a little more germination from this, but given that some of them in every single one of these has germinated at least 1 sprout, but a couple of them have only germinated 1 sprout. So I have a choice to make. Do I plant some more here, or do I just give it some more time? The problem with giving it some more time is if they don't germinate, I probably won't have time to start onions from seed and still get a nice bulb out of it before the end of the season. On the other hand, this is quite a bit of onions. It is probably, and onions are not something that I can't source. So I will probably stick with what I have, hope that more do sprout. And if they don't, then I'll just be happy with this and not grow any more seeds from those packets in the coming year. So there you have it. That's my update for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you come back again soon.